Big Slick here, and today's project is to update the firmware on a Fuji F300EXR digital camera. This is a CCD camera, and the first thing we will do is go to the Fujifilm website. You can just go to Google if you want and type in F300EXR firmware update. You will arrive at this page. There are 3 different firmware versions that are available for download. You will obviously pick the current version, version 1.03. As you scroll down the page, you click I agree and then click download. At this time, the firmware will download. Once you've downloaded the firmware, insert your SD card and copy the firmware from your downloads folder into the SD card root directory, and you want to make sure there's no other subdirectories here, just this one file on the SD card. Once you have confirmed that you only have the firmware update file on the SD card, you can remove it from your computer, and now you're going to put it into your camera. So here's the SD card that we copied the firmware onto. We'll open up the bottom battery door, put the card in the camera, close the door, set it back down. Now, while you hold down the display back button, you hold this down and keep it held down, and you turn on the camera. And you will see the firmware upgrade screen. So it's currently on version 1. We downloaded 1.03, so we want to upgrade. We'll hit OK, yes. And of course, make sure that you have a fully charged battery before you do this. So we'll hit OK here, and we'll click back over on the confirmation. It says to go from version 1 to 103. You have to click left on the arrow pad to go from cancel to OK. So now we're at OK, and we'll hit the OK center button here on the control dial. Do not open the battery cover. OK again. And now the upgrade is performing. So it took a little less than 45 seconds to upgrade, and now you just have to turn the camera off and then turn it back on again, and you now have the latest firmware. If you want to double check the firmware, you should be able to turn it off, and being that that file is still on the camera, hold down the display button and turn the camera on, and it will now show you that you have version 1.03 installed. Now the next thing you will want to do is menu, which we can do right now. We're going to go up into the setup menu, and we will go down to format card because we want to get rid of that firmware file that's on here. So hit OK. And now the firmware is no longer on the SD card. You have a blank SD card, and it's ready to be used by the camera. So that is all the steps that you need in order to upgrade the firmware on a Fuji F300EXR digital camera.